Everything out here is about building, about creation. I want something different.
Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fix me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fix me in.
I can make you into whatever we need. You gotta be light, fast, tall, strong, heavy. Everything's possible for Lava Gang.